Hi everybody, I'm Mike Nelson from the Environment Agency. Really sorry I couldn't be with you in person today, but I wanted to record this presentation to hopefully provide a bit of background into the work we've been doing to develop these regional marine ecosystem forums like NWME and highlight what we see as some of the key benefits of this approach and its potential for being rolled out even more widely. The EA's involvement in this work began as part of DEFRA's Marine, Natural Capital and Ecosystem Assessment Programme. And one of our objectives in the programme is to explore how we could develop social capital, which is basically a fancy term that just means the value we derive from building networks and relationships between people, to provide better insights into the state of our marine ecosystems at a regional scale and how they're changing over time. This work has been built upon the pre-existing initiative in the Southwest, which some of you will be very well familiar with, the Southwest Marine Ecosystems Forum, or SWME for short, and has the overarching vision of creating a network of these regional monitoring hubs covering all English waters. I mentioned this work was part of the Marine Natural Capital and Ecosystem Assessment, or MNCA programme, so I thought it would be useful to just give a few highlights on what this is. So the MNCA was a DEFRA Science and Innovation Programme, which was delivered by its arm's length bodies, and its aim was to enhance our understanding of England's natural capital assets, the benefits they provide both to people and to wildlife, as well as how natural capital approaches could be used to inform decision making to achieve better outcomes for nature. So some of the key objectives of the MNCA programme are listed here. So they're things such as how natural capital approaches can be used in decision making, as I've said. It had modules looking at how we can enhance our monitoring of key natural capital assets, and that was for us, that was things like seagrass, salt marsh, and kelp. There was a lot of emphasis on innovation and citizen science, improving our evidence base on the provision of ecosystem services, and also things like developing natural capital metrics and indicators to better sort of highlight the value that nature provides and elevate its importance in decision making. And the key module of this program relevant to NWME is this module here around harnessing social capital. So what are regional marine ecosystems fora? What is this model we keep talking about? I mean, in short, there's a quote here on screen, but these fora exist, and their aim of their existence is to mobilize social capital, to build networks and relationship in marine and coastal communities, which includes people from academia, from government, from public sector, NGOs, but also citizen scientists, to enable regional scale annual reporting and communication on the state of our marine ecosystems and how they're changing over time. So in short, they're a way of working, a kind of a forum or a hub for monitoring that reports annual change on a regional scale and builds those communities and relationships and creates a platform for communication. And as I said previously, these are built on the SWME model, which has existed for about a decade and a half. So how did we get here? Thought it'd be useful to have a bit of a timeline as to how we've got to where we are today. And as I've mentioned just now, the approach that we've used to develop these regional marine ecosystems fora are very much based on a highly successful initiative that started in the Southwest several years ago. So the Southwest Marine Ecosystems Forum, or SWME as it's known, was established around 2007, and it started off as a meeting of around 50 or so individuals and mainly focused on seabirds and marine mammals. SWME's grown from strength to strength and continues to do so, barring a slight readjustment that was necessary due to COVID, and now covers a wide range of marine topics with about 300 delegates. So work began to explore how we could apply this model to other areas in about 2022-23, with the EA working with Bob Earl, OCF, the Wildlife Trusts and others to develop plans to lay the foundations for a forum in the east of England. So after establishing thematic topic groups and having their initial meetings, the inaugural EastME conference took place in Lincoln in early 2024. Following this, work began in earnest to look at a third region, with the decision taken to focus on the Northwest. There wasn't anything particularly kind of scientific behind this decision. It was more a reflection of the fact that there was existing kind of well-established and active community groups in this area, combined with the fact that it felt quite different ecologically to the east, and also gives us a good spread nationally of these pilot regions. I should say at this point as well, the regions that these four have been based on derive from the MMO marine planning regions, which I'll show you a bit later on. So as the work in the Northwest continued to evolve, EastME had its second conference earlier this year, and we started to build a shared vision for the national direction of travel for this work, bringing in key stakeholders at DEFRA, MMO, and others to help shape this, but also to explore where the outputs of these fora could be impactful in supporting policy delivery. And that really brings us to today with the inaugural Northwest Marine Ecosystems Conference, which I was really pleased to find out just this week has been a sellout. So that's fantastic. So we've talked a bit about the evolution of the RMEs, but what do they actually look like? So the RMEs are comprised of a number of thematic topics around which are built groups or communities of practice, which meet throughout the year to share their observations and findings for their area of interest. So the graphic here is just sort of illustrative. Not all regions have exactly the same thematic topics. It's really important that the topics are sort of decided by people that are based locally, based on their expertise and their knowledge of the key ecosystem components or the key pressures or management systems that exist and are relevant for their patch. So the thematic topic groups meet a couple of times a year to share their findings and pull them together in the form of a presentation, which and all of this work culminates in an annual conference where the thematic topic groups present their findings for the year. This was a really fantastic kind of aspect to this approach, in my opinion, as a lot of the time when we're going to these conferences or meetings or whatever, we tend to be siloed around our specialist area of interest, whereas the RME approach pulls together that whole system view. So you're hearing from experts in everything from oceanography right the way up to seabirds and cetaceans, and it allows you to kind of spot those connections and yeah, meet and interact with people that you perhaps wouldn't ordinarily have interacted with. Following the conference, it's normally a State of Regional Marine Ecosystems report, which forms one of the key outputs from the process. And so without wanting this to be too much of a sales pitch, I thought it would be really useful to highlight what we found to be some of the key benefits of this approach. So I've listed some of the key benefits up here, but it's by no means everything. So as I've mentioned, the RMEs, the fora report annually, and this is a really great way of getting up-to-date information for your region to help raise awareness of what's happening on your own patch, how the ecosystems are changing, and to help raise awareness of what threats, challenges, or pressures might be coming down the track, almost a bit of an early warning system, if you like. It's a really effective way of engaging with the community and building networks to support action at a regional level, making links with people that you haven't interacted with before, as I've mentioned. But it's also a great way to share knowledge, information, and data, and not just from so-called official sources like academia or public sector, but also from the vital work done by people involved in citizen science initiatives. It's fantastic at bringing people together and information from across the different ecosystem components, and I've talked about this a bit before already, but it was a real light bulb moment for me the first time I attended SWME to see that whole ecosystem, the whole system picture, which I think is quite a unique aspect of these fora. And there's also gives us a platform in which to sort of elevate the importance of the local expertise and observations and drive that information, which could potentially support long-term monitoring, but also inform and drive management and decision making to help improve our marine environment. In terms of next steps, we're currently developing our vision for how this work is going to be taken forwards, and I've had some really great discussions already with key stakeholders at DEFRA, MMO, and elsewhere as to how we can do this. We're thinking about what region we could go to next. So you can see from the map here some of the regions ticked off that we've been to already. which obviously leaves a couple of areas down there at the south and the south east. So we're exploring which one of those to tackle next. There's also some key challenges that we need to address as we go. So we need to figure out how we can secure the resources to support the establishment of the RMEs as they find their feet. We need to understand how we can better join up across national borders, for example, with Scotland or Wales or across the Irish Sea, as obviously none of these borders are ones which nature really respects. There's also questions around the future of EastME and whether it should expand to kind of absorb the northeast, and that's why there's a question mark up there. Ecological matters aside, there's also the issue that there'd be a lot of overlap with people working both on the east and the northeast defined areas, which could potentially present quite a significant strain on their ability to engage with two groups. So it might be more pragmatic to join them together. So there's a whole bunch of challenges along those lines that, as at a national level, we're trying to address as we go. So that's it for me. Hopefully that's given you a bit of a feel for some of the context behind what we've been working towards. And if you want to discuss any of this further, please feel free to drop me an email. I think my colleague Mike Jones is in the audience there somewhere, so I'm sure he'd be happy to have a chat. Alternatively, Lynn or one of the other organisers, I'm sure would love to speak to you. Again, really sorry I can't be there in person, but I hope you have a fantastic conference and look forward to the next one.